Howdy, 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 my name's Anashi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read Homestuck. Two things. One, I remembered that I used to do Let's Read Homestuck daily before I started getting towards the end of it and then had to ease back a bit. And two, having Homestuck be back is throwing a wrench in my upload schedule that I was not prepared for, in so much as whenever I sit down and try to decide what I want to start recording, I come to the fact that I now have Homestuck and House Pets and just basically short circuit on which one I want to record and then end up not recording at all. So I'm going to just keep doing episodes of Let's Read Homestuck until it stops, and then whatever happens with the rest of my scheduling while I'm trying to get this out the way happens. So, be John again. It seems as if you're attempting to be John again, with the expectation that we might spend a little more quality time with him in his cubicle of misery and self-loathing. You guess we might really start to unpack his depression issues, get to the bottom of all that. Well, nice try. John can't be here right now because he's stuck somewhere in the harrowing nexus between canon, post-canon, non-canon, outside canon, and fanon. He also can't be here right now because, for the time being, we're done whizzing our breath on such a sad loser. It's well overdue for the true hero of this tale to take center stage, be Vriska. Lord English stands before you in all of his time-eating, universe-ending glory. You rode in here like a total badass, and now you're presiding over a whole host of ghosts ready to throw themselves once more into the maw of this final battle. You know that this isn't your battle to win, but you are definitely the sign of the tide turning. Hell, you are the tide. This whole thing would have been pretty dismal if you hadn't shown up with the treasure chest containing the ultimate weapon, not to mention your flawless defeat of an obstructionist hectoring orange man, who for reasons you cannot begin to comprehend seemed to be obsessed with you. You've already executed what is probably the most important tactical maneuver ever performed by a hero in the history of heroism. You deployed the white house-shaped juju from the red chest. It grew to an enormous size, slammed down on whatever was passing for the floor in this esoteric battle environment, and a door materialized when it surfaced. You now stand all to the side looking pleased with yourself, waiting for the legendary weapon to unload itself towards the hulking tyrant. You now got two bitches of either gender at your side, your main girl Mina, who you stole from that embarrassing past version of yourself that you owned so hard you bet she's probably still crying, and Tavros. Not just any random ghost copy of Tavros, of which there appear to be thousands, your Tavros, specifically, who's been pathetically trailing after you like a lost bark beast since you showed up. You'd be hard-pressed to describe what's happening right now. If they sent a poet, maybe he'd do a better job of it, but they sent someone who's actually useful instead, so you'll give it a shot. It looks to you like the complete obliteration of space and time, the end of all things, the disintegration of literally thousands of ghosts! And no doubt your admirers out there would love it if you described it all in painstaking detail, but you're not an executionist. You just call it like you see it, and what you're seeing right now is pretty awesome. Observe Lord English. Kind of an overworked character design, you think to yourself. If someone showed you a drawing like this on their flarp sheet, you'd probably be obliged to immediately kick their ass. There's a lot going on, from his vein-hobbling muscles to his 8-ball eyes to his pirate leg, and his ostentatiously bright gold pimp-cane. Years ago, you brutally criticized Terezi for adding a dragon head staff to her Red Glare cosplay. The argument that ensued was so bad she didn't talk to you for an entire week. Now that you're seeing this, well, you wouldn't apologize to her, obviously, but in retrospect, maybe her accessorizing wasn't so bad. At least she understood the basics of having a simplified silhouette. I'm going back, Finn. You coming first? Was that supposed to be going back in, or? Of course! But give me a minute. I want to see. Mina gives you a grin and a salute and leads you to it. That is what you always felt you were destined for somehow. Standing at the end of the universe and seeing how it all goes down. Tavros is clinging to your arm like a little crybaby while crying, you assume, and probably soiling his dumb little pair of shorts. But not you. You're fearless. Your eyes are so wide that it feels like you're eating all the light through them. That's what you are after all. The thief of light. You crane back your neck and watch Lord English put a crack in reality. It's beautiful. You thought maybe he'd do something stupid, like punch the sky with his gross throbbing muscle arm, but all it takes for him to shatter the roof of existence is a single ear-splitting roar. Around him the ghost army scatters, Tavros flinches and hides his face in your shoulder, and probably pisses himself again for good measure, but you get smashed in the head? It was so fast and dark you didn't see it. The shard of space-time that split off from above and hurtled towards you. Your body rocks back whiplash fast and you nearly keel over. You're still standing though and laughing. That's what you were doing when Lord English put a split in the fabric of reality. You were laughing, not crying. It doesn't hurt at all. Vriska, are you okay? Shut up! I'm... You sat your back and put a hand to the head wound, your eyes spin. All 8 of them. It's not a big deal, though. Just a scratch. You're fine, fine, fine! She doesn't have 8 eyes, she has 8 pupils. Your hand comes back coated in thick blue. Your hair is soaked with it all the way down on one side. Why is broken space-time so sharp? Like splintered obsidian. Feels like it barely grazed you, and yet everything around you begins to spin, and you're not sure if... You can't quite... A stream of blood begins to leak in under your glasses. Noise whirls around you. Lord English is losing his shit. Ghosts shouting, moving, the broken glass of the ceiling of space splitting into hundreds of shards of potentiality. There's a hum beneath it all, a deep, dark reverb. A black hole sucking everything into the dark maw of infinity. You wipe your bloody hand on the leg of your jeans and sneer with rage. You won't go down so easily. Tavros tries to steady you, but you slap his hand away. Fuck off! Okay. It looks really kinda extremely bad, though. You're so intolerable. I need to... Tavros, go find Mina. Now, Tavros! Tavros scurries off into the fray to find someone less worthless. You try to catch your bearings so that you won't miss a single instant of this battle, but you're distracted by something in the corner of your glasses. Your Trollean alert is blinking. There's a message from Terezi. How long has that been there? Hours? Days? You suddenly wonder if it's been years from her perspective, waiting for you to respond, given how time moves differently out here. Were you too preoccupied with your incredible heroic exploits to notice? Focus, Circuit! This is no time for sentimental thoughts. You need to get a grip. Keep your head in the game. Keep both feet planted firmly. Whoops. Your feet slip. Without Tavros to keep you steady, you lose balance and begin drifting. You try to regain your footing, but you realize you aren't in danger of falling over. That's not the problem. You can't seem to get your feet back on the floor? You feel light. You're floating. You flail your legs, scraping the tips of your shoes against the floor, but it's no use. You understand what's happening. It's the black hole. It's starting to lift you up. You raise me up! You glance wild-eyed towards the glowing juju. Its 4 chambers and peaked roof are pulsing with the energy of raw imminence. This is it! Everything you've been waiting for, whatever it is, it's about to happen. Where's Mina? You desperately try to stabilize yourself, slow your ascent, anchor yourself back to the floor in some way. Anyway! But there's nothing to grab onto. There's blood in your eyes, and your depth perception is fucked. Your hand goes wide, and your fingers close around empty space as you reach impotently toward the glowing symbol of everything you ever believed you were meant for. This can't be how it goes. As you continue to levitate, gaining speed in the direction of the insatiable cosmic body, you can see your blood trailing behind you in wet cerulean blobs. The juju glows brighter. You need to see what happens next. You need to see. Is it 8? Is it 8 E's? Yeah. You're so frantic, grasping for purchase in the empty air, that you aren't ready for it. You aren't ready for it. Another black shard of space-time hurtling through the void. It collides with your chest, right at the place where your ribcage connects, and sends you spiraling ever faster towards the deep, dark maw of infinity. A black hole is something not even a god-tier player can survive, you suspect. And even if one could, you highly doubt there'd be any clawing your way out of its event horizon and back into relevance. Not this time. It's a fate worse than anything you can imagine, and as it truly sinks in, what is happening to you, how this is ending for you, finally you lose all sense of composure. You flail, spin, and flip in helpless little surfs like a bloody rag doll, and you begin to scream. John emerged from the juju. The first thing you hear is a tiny scream getting sucked into oblivion. The voice is familiar, but not as familiar as the second thing you hear, which is a crack. It's not just a crack in your ears, the crack goes all the way down your spine. You almost don't react to it because it's so familiar. Around you, a cacophony rises up like steam. Oh shit, it's really popping off out here. Dave's voice reminds you that your teammates have emerged from the house along with you. You survey the group. Everyone is accounted for. 3 confused, frightened teenagers. You can't see anything but big, bright smears all along the horizon. You fish the 2 halves of your broken glasses out of your pocket and hold them up to your face. The scene comes into focus, the eye of a storm, a black hole so massive it stretches as far as you can see, an army of ghosts swirling and screaming, whipping around you like leaves in the wind, and at the center of it all is Lord English, just like in your dream. You can feel it now. The moment reality yawns too wide and snaps in half. Epilogue 3. Well, excuse me? What? Wait. So does that mean it was... Is that where I got the idea of 7 meats from? That it went to Epilogue 2? Did I miss it saying Epilogue 2? Because I don't remember saying Epilogue 2. I don't remember saying Epilogue 1. But now it's Epilogue 3. And Jake is doing things, so it's probably about to be... uncomfortable. Jake yawns and knocks on the window to Jane's office again. For some reason, Jane has the shades pulled shut all the way around, so he's been hovering here for way too long in his best tie and his best pair of short shorts. There's a crowd gathered below, gaping at a rare in-person appearance of a globally famous butt. The sunset has turned the head offices of Crocker Corp into a shimmering glass monolith, a beacon, if you will, of the future, visible for miles in every direction. Jane probably likes to think about it that way, at least. Speaking of Jane, she pops her head out from between two strips of silk-lined Venetian blind to glower at Jake, who was hovering uselessly in the air. "Use the front door," she mouths at him, but he responds with his specialty and comprehension. "I'm sorry, what?" The exasperated hand motions Jane tries next work better. "Oh, the front door, of course." Jake flies down to the street so that he can take the front entrance. He whistles a quaint little ditty to himself while he waits for the elevator to go up to the top floor. This time he knocks on the office door and Jane lets him in. Inside the office it's dark and hazy. The whole place is candlelit and Jane is reclining on her desk, sprawled out like a lounge singer on a grand piano. Specifically, a blue lounge singer on a blue piano, just like in one of the hideous velvet paintings Jake bought in New Prospect a few years ago. Like all his impulse purchases, the tacky thing is gathering dust on a pile somewhere in one of the hundreds of spare rooms in his mansion, which now primarily functions as a very expensive warehouse for his atrocious hoarding habits. An intimate knowledge of his hoarding habits, particularly the type of sultry cerulean quantities known to hoard, is exactly why Jane is wearing a blue dress with a very high hem. Jake's bow tie practically spins at the sight of it. He freezes on the spot, an animal in the predatorial headlights of this buxom blue businesswoman. Why? Okay, I'll just stick it out and see what happens. Maybe it's not gonna be as messed up as it looks like it's about to be. Maybe I'm being misled. Come have a glass of scotch with me, Jake. We have so much to discuss. Indeed. He crosses the office and shakily accepts the offered glass of ludicrously expensive fermented barley grain. He raises it to his nose and pretends to sample the scent. Jane, I must say that this is a very striking ensemble. Oh, you like it? Why don't you, come take a closer look. She's really bad at this, she thinks. This being seduction. She's so bad at it, in fact, that Jake immediately recognizes her ruse for what it is. Laughing nervously, he sucks the whole glass of scotch into his mouth in one go, ice cubes and all, and then, because he can't actually stand the taste of scotch, immediately spits it back out, ice cubes and all, spraying Jane's brand new sexy dress in quite an ungentlemanly fountain of booze spittle. Jane is lashed both by the scotch in her face and how quickly her plan has fallen apart. Jake! Bitch happers! Oh no, all over my new dress. Jane, I'm so sorry. Here, let me help you clean that giggle water off your kettle drums. No, you've done enough. Goodness, you've only been here 2 minutes and already... Why did I ever think... Jane, please, I insist. She tries to push him away, but Jake considers himself to be a gentleman. He helps her to the floor and shrugs off his dress coat so that he can use it to wipe her down. She's staring at the ceiling like she hopes it will split open and suck her into a supermassive black hole so she doesn't have to deal with anything going on right now. Some of Jake's scotchy slobber is on her glasses, which is not the place she was planning on having it tonight. Is this why you wanted to see me? To show off this, this proper bit of frock? Oh, no, of course not. I just wanted to talk about the economy. By Jove, the economy! Jane, my dear friend, please tell me all about the economy. Jake doesn't care about the economy, but he's an ardent supporter of changing the subject. It's doing quite well right now, actually. I should hope so. But it might not continue to do so in the future, which you can guess is of great concern to me, being that I am a pioneering entrepreneur. Well, frig, that's awful, and you should do everything in your power to adequately explain to me this conundrum, which I admit I am not up to take on. Jane laughs quite sincerely as he ruffles his jacket through her hair. Oh, Jake, you really have no idea what's going on, do you? Wait, is this about the election muck-up? Because Jane puts a finger to Jake's lip and shushes him. It's a very smooth move, a total recovery. He shushes, and she directs him to one of the couches that line her office. They stumble there, his jacket and his hands still wrapped around her shoulders. I'm sure you've had an earful about the election already. I apologize. You must understand that my mind is quite occupied by it right now, but I've been doing an awful lot of thinking as of late. I see? About what? About everything, I suppose. About my life, about all our lives, and the trajectory they've taken since we've helped to create this new universe. You must admit it's a lot to grasp, and I'm not certain we've all taken the time to truly contemplate our place in it. This is not really the kind of conversation you initiate if you're looking to extract a sexual deal out of someone. It is, however, the kind of conversation you might have had with a childhood friend who has become somewhat emotionally estranged from you. both so busy with their exciting careers and misuse of their godhood. Who are they now? The same Jake and Jane who passed like particularly dysfunctional ships in the night a decade ago? Or is Jane wiser and Jake kinder? Are they better versions of themselves? No. At least Jane isn't. Jane is absolutely not a better version of herself right now. She is being quite terrible right now. Jane absently rubs the narrow strap of her dress between two fingers, vainly attempting to sort out her jumbled thoughts. That's an earful, Jane. I know, it's a headful too. I can't help but worry, haven't we really just been drifting these last 7 years? Drifting, both in the sense of failing to fulfill our personal potentials and in the sense of, well, drifting apart? Jane pulls a leg up beneath her, which slides her bare knee between Jake's. The couch dips a bit under their weight. I must admit I never thought of it that way. I know. It's just that we're both so busy all the time. The years go by so fast and... I miss you. Jake blinks, his eyes wet and glossy beneath his spectacles. Well, I suppose that I miss you too, Jane. The moment goes from calculated to genuine in an instant. Jake drops his coat and glides his hands down her bare arm so that he can... hold her? Yeah, that's definitely what he's doing, holding her, and not too gently either. Jane really is quite pretty, with the candlelight glitter across her spectacles. This isn't really about to happen, is it? They're not really about to do a sex scene, are they? Where was I? Her with the candlelight glittering across spectacles, her hair damp and her front teeth poking out from beneath her lip. She's so pretty that Jake can't stop himself from sliding a hand up to her neck and using his thumb to tip her face back so that they're staring right at each other in the low light. Close enough that Jane can probably smell his disgusting scotch breath. She definitely does smell it, because her cute nose scrunches up and she laughs again. A very small, private noise, a noise just for him. So he kisses her. Very well if he does think so to himself. Dirk has given him a lot of uninvited but incisive criticism when his kissing over the years, so Jake wouldn't be surprised if he was considered the best kisser on the entire planet at this point. Jane breathes in, shocked for a moment. Even more shocked when Jake hooks a hand around her waist and pushes her down. She makes a startled noise into his mouth. Then she throws her arms around his neck. It should be awkward, taboo at this point considering the history between them, but it all happened so easily. Jane undoing Jake's bow tie, Jake hooking his thumb under the hem of her dress and hiking it up another inch. It really cannot spare for decency's sake. There's nothing awkward about this moment, Jake thinks. Two old friends, how does the Blazes giving into passion? Who could accuse them of impropriety? Nothing worth their salt in his book. Nobody worth their salt in his book. It all makes perfect sense. The inevitable consummation of a whirlwind romance fit for the big screen. Really, the only surprise is how long it took to happen. Jane is a beautiful lady, that's for sure. She always has been, but she's only grown more ravishing as she's come into the full blossom of her womanhood. If they're immortal gods, do they even age further than being teenagers? I don't want to think about it. Smooth, silky skin, thick, dark lashes, full, feminine lips, not to mention curves like the Dickens. It's all certainly conductive to the activities of close phonological proximity to the phrase. Okay. Alliteration! Jane's baby soft palm, unmarred by the calluses of deft swordsmanship, slides down Jake's cheek and dips under the collar of his shirt. She caresses his clavicle and then tenderly trails her fingers up to the side of his neck, steadying herself as she deepens their passionate kiss. Jane's touch is nothing like Dirk's. Dirk has palms so rough that they sting, especially on skin that's thin and supple, like the column of the throat right over the jugular. He pulls away from Jane's lips and lifts her spectacles off her nose. It's a motion that still feels practiced and familiar despite how long ago he'd last had the precious chance. Those rare, intimate moments that Jake was allowed to slip off Dirk's shades and look upon his face, unobstructed, stand out more clearly in his mind than almost any other in his life. Jake swallows. He can't stop thinking about how Dirk kissed him the last time they didn't hook up. Which is a thing, of course, that didn't happen. So how can Jake possibly be thinking about it? Is it just some sort of Pavlovian response that's making his heart race like this? He does his best to push the untimely thoughts away, but his fingers tremble as he sets Jane's glasses aside. Jane gazes back at him, cheeks flushed with desire, eyes dark and alluringly coy. All her features are round and soft, welcoming, soothing. The kind of face that makes you feel like you've come home. Dirk is the exact opposite. Long nose, thick eyebrows, pointed features. A man who seems built down to the very essence of his soul to be sharp, hard to approach. Harder still to touch. But when looked at from the right angle, he's anime levels of handsome. Breathtakingly, choir of angels, singingly, anime handsome. The sort of man you can't keep your hands off of no matter how jagged his edges. But his hair is so much softer than it looks. His heart, too. When a heart like that opens up to you, it opens up the whole world as well. A word of increased appreciation for combat, philosophy, life, love. As Jake just yelps. Jake yelps and rolls off the couch in such a panic that he almost takes Jane with him. She flies to her feet, startled, breathing fast, and readjusts her disheveled clothes. Jake, are you quite okay? I have to go right now, sorry. Jake's already hovering 2 feet off the ground before Jane can say another word. He doubles back to the entrance of the office and grabs the bottle of near untouched scotch before kicking open the latch to one of Jane's giant windows and letting himself out. He's got a lot of things to think about, apparently. What the ever-living fuck? Jane stands alone in her office, confused, horny, and kinda pissed. She slowly slips the strap of her dress back over her shoulders. Then she closes the window, sits in her CEO chair, and speed dials the number for her one-man kitchen cabinet. Yo, what's up? Not Jake, apparently. Wow. Going straight for the double entendre, huh? How much of that scotch did you have? I think a few drops made it into my mouth when Jake spewed his beverage directly onto my face. Things went that badly, huh? Ah! This is so embarrassing, you know? I wouldn't have approached it this way if I wasn't absolutely certain its margin for error was virtually non-existent. I mean, it's Jake. Were you nice to him? Well, I told you can't be nice to Jake. Listen, Jane, I don't really have time to jam right now. Why don't you leave Jake to me? Jane squeezes her eyes shut and very softly and quietly bumps her head against the edge of her desk. Why do I feel as if we've had this exact conversation almost word for word before? Because we have. Many times. Well, what do we do now? I'm afraid I've gone and made things worse. Like I said, let me work on it. I know what I'm doing. You always say that. I haven't been wrong yet. Jane, head still planted firmly on desk, laughs at that. There is a sardonic twist in Dirk's voice that intentionally recalls every time he's ever fucked up. But it satisfies Jane nevertheless. She knows that he won't fail her. Fine. Please call me later so that we may strategize, and also because I could use some emotional support after what just happened. I might be caught up for a while. Why is that? Can't explain right now. Catch you on the flip side, Jane. Wait! Dirk doesn't wait. There's a shadow cast in his doorway that is much more important than the election. Rose is braced against the door frame, one hand on her purse and the other on her waist. She has her head tipped just so, her pale hair falling across in her face at an angle that bisects her perfectly neutral expression. Dirk sets down his phone and acknowledges her with a nod. Well, go on. They're not about to do weirdness with Dirk and Rose, are they? Nope, they're about to go back to the fight, okay? And this is all just still meat. There's also still candy. Who knows what the hell that's going to be about. Maybe it's going to show us what Roxy's doing. Or maybe Roxy will pop up anyway and it'll be even more weird because... fuck characterization, am I right? John, fight Lord English. All around you is pandemonium. A multichromatic cyclone of shrieks and clashing colors as Mina's ghost army claws at the borders of Paradox Space. The place, not the website. Wait, that is her army, right? It seems like it's been so long since you thought about any of this, but you're pretty sure this is the army you, Mina, Vriska, and the other circuit were trying to raise. So it's true then. The juju has finally unloaded you exactly where you need it to be. Every screaming body pitches down and goes white the closer it gets to the black hole above you. And below, front and center, is Lord English himself, the big deal version, pimped up, hulked out, and throwing a huge universe-ending tantrum. Unlike his younger form, his eyes aren't flickering wildly, they're locked in place, an 8-ball in each socket. You briefly wonder what that means, but your curiosity is interrupted by a massive outburst of technicolored dragon breath coming from his mouth. The laser show tears its way through a squadron of ghosts led by... is that... Tavros? Seems like an awful choice to lead an army, but what do you know? Wasn't Vriska supposed to be leading the charge? Where is she, anyway? Listen, I don't have time to dwell on Vriska. She's probably around here somewhere, biding her time, waiting to execute her masterstroke and finish English off at just the right moment, like that cunning bitch she is. No, you can't think about that now. You're becoming enraptured by the sound surrounding you. Not a sound, a sensation. A subharmonic symphony that you can only hear in your bones. This is it! The end of Paradox Space. The last thing you saw in your anime dreams. A hard lump of air travels down your throat, but you don't hesitate! Behind you, the juju disappears, sucked out of reality with a... You move your arms in a dumb little motion, sort of like jazz hands, and summon up a wisp of wind to keep your cracked glasses in place. You then pull one of your sickest hammers out of your strife deck. Your teen friends follow suit. You cast a glance back over your shoulder at them. They all look pretty cool. Rose knitting light with her, around her with the quills of echidna. Dave with his sword, Khaled Filch at the ready, trailing time distortions behind him that look, if you don't squint, a lot like JPEG artifacts. Jay's got her favorite gun cocked and ready with her ears perked up. Let's do this! Don't get overconfident. We have to do it exactly like we discussed. First, But Rose doesn't get to finish what she was trying to say. Lord English's mouth roars open and a wave of energy blasts through your group. Rose is the only one caught in it. She dissolves in slow motion. You can see the outline of her body in shadow, one arm thrown up over her eyes, shoulders pulled up defensively, cape billowing out behind her. She leaves an after image of shimmering light in her wake and then dissipates, drifting apart like a handful of salt tossed out to sea. You can almost hear the cosmic clock counting down, tick-tock, and a chime to accompany her fate. Heroic. That is bullshit! She didn't even do anything! All she did was say, don't get overconfident, we have to do it like this discussed, and then got disintegrated. That is not heroic or just. That is bullshit! Rose, no! Jade doesn't wait to fire. Space splinters open around her so loudly that it drowns out the fire from her rifle. Lord English raises one of his giant fuck-off hands to deflect her anomaly-powered bullets, giving Dave an opportunity to attack. Dave raises his legendary blade and aims for the impressively beefy torso. It should be a sure hit, like slashing the side of an unusually broad green barn, but he whiffs completely. It's a wonder how such a big man can move so fast. Jade inspects her rifle and tosses it aside. What is she doing? With all the powers of a witch of space at her command, came out with the infinite abilities of a first guard, and she's still messing around with basic firearms? She makes two tight fists and strikes a pose befitting of a warrior about to power the fuck up. She focuses and strains. A doggy snarl rips its way through her clenched teeth. A hazy aura envelops her as space buckles and lenses about her form, and then nothing. No crackle of electricity, no licks of chartreuse flame. She searches within and realizes her power source is completely unavailable to her. Then she looks up and it dawns on her. The thing in the sky, the hungry black orb gobbling up everything in sight, that's where the green sun used to be. It's been swallowed completely by a black hole. The realization is horrifying. She feels suddenly absolutely helpless. Jade opens her mouth to scream for help, but she's cut off. A razor-sharp fragment of reality slams into her back. It skewers her, exiting right through the center of the space symbol on her hoodie. She chokes, goes limp, encircled by a halo of her own blood. Get in there! You're barely a minute into the battle, and both your tactician and your most powerful player are down. You summon a windstorm to momentarily keep Lord English preoccupied and try to grab your sister's wrist. Instead, you catch her by the hem of her skirt. Lord English struggles to emerge from the wind prison you just whipped up. You can see one of his arms flailing just outside the circumference of your storm. Tavros has pulled himself to his feet and, recognizing English's temporary state of vulnerability, directs the ghost on his side to attack. No one is paying attention to him. Jade is floating away from you. You're having a hard time maintaining your whirlwind, your glasses, your hammer, and your grip on her. Lord English's head has emerged from the apex of your storm. He looks directly at you, and his mighty jaw creaks open slowly. Well beyond the reasonable capacity for any mortal mandible hinge, you stare directly down the dark barrel of his throat, which readies for another terrible laser shot. There's no time to react. Make a decision! You let Jade go. She floats in literal slow motion, buoyed by the billows of her skirt. You summon a gust of wind and push her farther away from the battle. You're hit by a blowback from the current, and a line of her blood splashes across your face. But releasing her has created enough separation just as you hoped. The laser breath passes between you, narrowly missing you both. You reel back like you've just been punched. Your control over the storm goes haywire for a second, long enough for Lord English to free his gaudy gold peg leg from it, and, more catastrophically, for you to drop your already broken glasses. You whirl around and swing your hammer to bob his horrible, deadly skull back into your storm. You can't really see what's going on, but you hear a gigantic crunch, and then another, and another. It sounds like a cereal commercial is playing outside the periphery of your vision. Dave! What? Is Lord English eating my hammer? Yeah, dude, he totally is. What the fuck? It's a true outrage. This isn't going to work. Waging battle without your glasses. Lord English has just eaten one of your sickest hammers due to your blind folly. You take a deep breath and dive down right into the sea of ghosts. You land clumsily, palms first, and do an accidental handspring right to a bunch of alternate timeline trolls you don't recognize. Hey guys! Anyone see a pair of glasses down here? It's pretty important. Everybody shrugs. This gaggle of lost souls collectively personifies uselessness. It is inconceivable to you that a single one of them will survive this battle. Perhaps it's for the best. Behind you, the wind barrier tears open. Lord English explodes from his confinement and swings his peg leg through the army. Ghosts scatter like bowling pins, many flying into the cracks in space. Before the leg hits you, a troll leaps into action and blocks the blow. Her trident makes a satisfying ring off the sound of the peg and sends it skidding backward. Whoa, that was a close one! Shell of a time to finally show up! Sorry, we were kind of busy. Bit of a weird question, but have you seen a pair of glasses down here? Are these what you're looking for? Tavros appears behind you and hands over your glasses still in two pieces. You return them to your face so that you can take a quick assessment of the battlefield. Oh boy, Lord English, now free from your wind trap, is stomping around, throwing an even bigger shit fit than before. The black hole above him is getting bigger. You can see the ghosts at the edge of the battlefield tumbling through space towards it, distorted, screaming, and helpless. Also, Tavro suddenly is leading an admirable charge of about 6 ghosts to attack Lord English's flesh foot. You wince because you can see what's coming before it happens. It's a shame because you didn't have the chance to thank him for finding your glasses. English raises his knee and stomps 3 ghosts into oblivion. The other 4, Tavros included, get vaporized in a beam. The ghost army seems to be thinning out pretty badly by now. Most of the ones remaining are either fleeing or getting sucked into the hole. You whip out another hammer, a classic this time, the Wrinkle Fucker. Its boinging pair of irons are hot, hissing, and ready for action. You use the wind to propel yourself back towards the fray. Dave is slicing paper cuts into English's torso with glancing nicks from his blade, but the monster is spry as ever, making him a difficult target. You take advantage of his distracted cavorting to whack him in the side of the skull. Your hammer connects with a satisfying crunch and he stumbles back, but recovers and lunges forward in a motion so quick you can barely follow it. English grabs the Wrinkle Fucker with his mouth. You hold on tight, but he starts shaking his head rapidly the way a dog with a rabbit tries to break its neck. He chomps down hard and shatters the hammer's head, gobbling down the broken pieces. You watch incredulously as the giant dude eats yet another one of your favorite hammers. Unbelievable! He lunges for the handle in a ridiculously greedy attempt to finish what's left of your weapon. You recoil, careening out towards the black hole, but manage to stabilize yourself. You look at the handle of your tragically masticated Wrinkle Fucker, shrug, and toss it into the hole. Glancing down towards your foe, you notice Mina still appears to be hanging on, clinging to his left suspender. Yo, hold on! Going in for the krill! Dave takes a step back to provide some space for whatever killer move she's got up her sleeve. She raises her trident and jams it into the back of Lord English's neck, English reacts as if he's been stung by a bee. He howls and rears up, throwing Mina off his back with a force that sends her hurtling out into space. You can't track her into the void with your eyes, she's flung so far and so fast, you can only assume the worst. Glancing back down, you see English hasn't wasted any time after ridding himself of the irksome heiress. He has Dave pinned under his green foot and is applying some pressure. You've got to act fast! You flip out another hammer, you don't care which one, and send it flying towards the monster's face. English quickly whips his head around in the direction of the sailing hammer and swallows it whole. You rush after it, reaching for another hammer without thinking. The brief distraction, aside from providing English with another tasty hammer snack, seems to have bought Dave enough wiggle room to slip out from under the foot, regain his composure, and draw his sword. John, I need a little... Dave ducks a wide blow from English's swinging fist. He backs up nervously, holding his sword out in front of him with 2 shaking hands. Anything! I need a little anything right now. Literally any stupid fucking thing you can do. I'm on it! You pop your strife deck open and just spam the hell out of your remaining hammers. A few excellent hammers that cost you a fortune to make, a bunch of shitty hammers you made as a joke, and everything in between. With another flick of your wrist, you spin them around so fast they form a perfectly impenetrable barrier of pure shitty hammer. Okay, the barrier is probably not the slightest bit impenetrable, but you gotta psych yourself up for this next attack somehow. In your hands is a weapon you haven't thought about in a long time, the Pop-O-Matic Vrilly-Hoo. It hums with both tricksy energy and the barely contained potential for mischief. You strike the baddest ass pose possible to strike while wielding such a clownish-looking implement and begin your advance. However, you're interrupted by a voice screaming out from behind you. It's half familiar, half cat? Wait! You whip your head around just in time to see a bolt of orange and green energy racing by you like a bullet. It slams into Lord English and sends him stumbling. I'm back! Dave stands there with his sword absolutely agog, his expression perfectly reflecting a blend of horror and the total inability to process who or what he's looking at. Dude, I can't believe you don't recognize me! It's me, Dave Sprite! And also Nepeta? Now we're called Dave Peta Sprite squared. We're permanently merged forms and worked out all our shit. Oh, well that sounds fucked up, but okay. Dave Peta spreads their wings, sending waves of warm light through the battlefield. The light feels comfortable somehow when it hits you. Behind them, Lord English is struggling to his feet again, roaring as he rolls from one side to the other like a kicked-over turtle. His muscles are so huge it's hard for him to maneuver. It would be hilarious if only all of reality weren't tearing apart at the seams around you! The sky shivers and shakes, raining needles of breached matter that burst and shatter at all angles, opening new voids where they land. Above the bed lamp, Dave Pet is finishing up an inspiring speech. You realize you tuned out most of it due to the surrounding chaos. I know it looks awful right now, but we can do it. In fact, we're literally the only ones who can do it. After all, it is our destiny. Well, that last bit was pretty good, you guess. At least you caught the end, which was presumably the most important and uplifting part. You and Dave exchange a look that silently says all that needs to be said right now. Dave Peta is right. You 3 are the only ones left, and there's no room for failure. Final round! The last leg of the fight proceeds like a well-oiled machine. Well, a well-oiled machine careening down a steep hill towards the edge of a cliff, but well-oiled nonetheless. You, Dave, and Dave Petta, that's what you call a team! And not just because, upon examining your surroundings, you three appear to be the last living or dead beings left in existence, but damn it, you'll take it! You turn your hammers into an efficient spiral, a carousel of ass-kicking, and direct its fury right at Lord English's face. The butts of the hammers hit him over and over again, like racking up points on a slot machine. Dave manages to carve a red line up Lord English's side, drawing real blood this time. The slash snaps one of his suspenders in half and must sever something else too because the sword makes a grisly, meaty squelch when he pulls it out. Dave turns a half-second too late to avoid getting sprayed by the wound. English howls and swipes at Dave, not wasting any time. You bury a hammer into his gaping mouth. Unsurprisingly, it gets swallowed, so you throw another one. Now you're just throwing them into his fucking mouth like you're feeding him Scooby snacks. It's a gluttonous display you won't soon forget. You realize you seem to be stuck in a cycle and are in serious danger of running out of hammers. Dave! Cat! Sprite! Thing! Help! Coming, bro! Dave Petta scrapes their cool Wolverine claws up Lord English's back and then kicks him in the back of the head. You time it perfectly and complete the combo of well-placed Virly Who undercut to his jaw. On the snapback, Lord English grabs the head of the hammer in his mouth. Oh no, not again! You big, ugly oaf! I really, really like this hammer! Maybe it's the sentiment attached to the hammer, or maybe you're just all fed up with this gross pig treating your full inventory of hammers like an all-you-can-eat buffet, but the bullshit stops here, you think. Which is why you refuse to let go of the handle when English wraps his tongue around it and unhinges his jaw with a sick, wet pop. You plant one foot under his nose and the other on his mandible and tug back! He makes a guttural sound at the back of his throat and sucks the Virly Who deeper in. Your heel slips on some drool and your whole leg skids straight into his mouth. You twist off balance and fail to catch yourself. You only let go of the hammer when you feel the walls of his throat constrict around your ankles. The pressure sucks you in up to the knees with one gulp. Virly Who was in his stomach and you're following it down quicker than you can even process. Is this the end? No, you think. This is such an unfairly stupid fucking way to die. John! Dave Petta flashes behind you and hooks their arms under your shoulders. They yank you out, clearing your head from the monster's maw at least, but English rehinges his jaw and clamps down on your chest hard. Dave Petta reacts quickly, shoving their claws between his molars. You can hear them growling as they slowly twist their arm to pry the massive jaw open. You're not dead yet, but Lord English definitely got a big sharp tooth in you. Your vision reels and goes blurry, then patchy, then dark, then don't fucking die. You pass out for, well, you have no idea how long it was, but it was long enough for Dave Petta to get you out of Lord English's mouth. You can see their face floating above you. They're just a smudge of neon swimming in a sea of chaos. Wow, you almost got bored to death. What? I'm afraid to say you look like total shit, my dude. You should stay here while we wind this bitch down. Promise me you won't move. I promise? Oh, promise. Oh. Dave Petta holds something up to your face. Your glasses. They tuck them into the front pocket of your hoodie and pat you on the head before darting through the air towards back toward the battle. You're woozy and don't have the energy to stop yourself from drifting. There's blood floating up around you, dilute and bubbly in the air like cooking oil and water. It's yours. Examine the wound. You lift your chin and see it. Lord English's gold tooth cracked off at the base and embedded in your chest. It must be stuck between two of your ribs, you'd think, because it hurts like a bitch when you try to breathe. You keep your head up and watch the battle, but it's also indistinct and far away, playing out like a shadow theater on a wall. Dave finds his moment. He rams Khaled Flelch into Lord English's chest all the way up to the hilt. It penetrates his flesh like nothing else has to this point. The wound around the blade sizzles slightly. The weapon, the unusual material it's made out of, is poison to English. He cries out in a cracked, broken staccato with an ear-splitting wail that cleaves the last of the furthest ring apart. Reality falls away from the mooring of the all-surrounding white light like a peeled eggshell. Dave's trying to get his sword free, but he's stuck. English's shriek morphs into a sinister, predatory rattle as his jaw creaks open. His mouth envelops Dave's head and snaps shut. He twists once, then twice, and then again with a crack! A disaster of blood instantly coats his skull and upper torso. He swallows the disembodied head whole with a triumphant gulp. The limp torso goes spiraling lazily in the direction of the black hole. Dave Petta's yelling something indistinct. Or maybe they're just yowling at the top of their lungs. This is what you feel like doing right now, but you can't move. Your limbs feel like lead. You consult your strife deck, but you've got nothing left. No hammers, no nothing. It's up to Dave Petta, who appears to have plenty left. If not in the strife deck per se, then in the heart. During the beast's grisly moment of gloating over the younger Strider's death, Dave Petta stands 20 paces behind him, crouches low to the ground, wiggles their behind, and pounces! They cling to English's back, wrap their legs around his midriff, draw up their arms, and plunge their claws into the behemoth's armpits. Their gloved hands end up knuckle-deep in the upper serratus muscles on either side. Dave Petta then spreads their wings in an awe-inspiring display. An unwitting spectator viewing Lord English from the front might suspect the garish orange-green wings belong to English himself. Depeta then, with all their might, lifts Lord English into the air and flies directly towards the black hole, trailing ribbons of blood and neon. English resists fiercely, but they're both already locked into the gravity well beyond any threshold of escape. He cannot do anything about it, no matter how much he screams and cries. This victory, this final sacrifice, has always been the destiny of Dave Peta, as they have sensed from the moment they were created. And to die on this day, in this way, has been the destiny of Lord English. The black hole, the gaping, implacable cosmic embodiment of the dead cherub, his long-departed sister, finally welcomes Lord English home. English and Dave Peta are sucked in with a subatomic whimper. The reunion sends shockwaves across the pitiful remains of Paradox space. And then everything is wholly, utterly, and categorically silent. It's over. Lord English is dead. But it doesn't feel over somehow. You don't feel like you've won. You can barely feel anything yet, actually. All you can think about for now is Dave Peta. How they were so unfettered and brave. How they sacrificed themselves by flying right into the black hole like a fucking piece of garbage, you can almost hear Dave saying. May God rest his soul. You collapse against whatever is passing for the floor at this moment of utterly null, corporeal conditions surrounding you. It doesn't feel possible. You're not even sure you can even trust your perception well enough to believe it. But it seems to be over. You've convinced yourself of this truth well enough to allow yourself to exhale. Enough to allow yourself to suddenly acknowledge the agony coursing through your body emanating from the gold tooth lodged into your chest. Enough to allow yourself to succumb to the overwhelming urge to sleep. Close your eyes. And that's probably a good stopping point for this episode. So, in the next one, it looks like it's going to be more Rose and Dirk stuff. So this has been Anashi Sasuke. I think this is episode 149 of Let's Read Homestuck. And I gotta say, the fact that apparently the Lord English thing is over, but now there's just the rest of the epilogue of this election bullshit? I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I thought that the Lord English thing was going to take longer than it did, but I guess that's why it's the meat and not the candy. So, thanks again for watching. I don't know if I said my whole outro or not. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Later.